Hello, this is Mike from Dimensional Walking. And today I want to spend a little time and I want to talk about something uh, that would be called mass witness sightings in China. Okay? China, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in the conclusion, but China has had a whole lot of mass witness sightings of UFOs. So many that and they're pretty much been, I don't want to say covered up, but I think they've been partially covered up. We don't hear much of them in the western part of the world. I think being in a communist country, they kind of cover up some of these type of things to some degree anyways. But anyways, let's go through a few of them. There's a bunch, but I wanted to talk about some of the bigger ones, maybe some of the well-known ones, basically. Again, of the five I'm going to talk about, I've only heard of one of them, and I've been doing this for 50 years. Not that I've dug before deeply into the subject matter of China mass sightings, but I was kind of in shock when I learned about some of this information. I just grabbed about five of them, and I could have probably done 20 or 30 of them easily. So it's been going on for a long time, and I believe, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, uh, basically people here in the United States and UK, kind of the Western countries, have never heard of some of these unless they really dig deeply. Anyway, so let's get started. So the first one I want to talk about is 1978, and it was Helong um, incident in Helong province, China. And so this was witnessed by over 100 people, including military personnel, farmers, and government officials. They described it as a luminous sphere approximately 10 meters across, or about 30 some feet. Uh, it was about as far away as about 100 meters, which is, a football field away. And when I usually say this is, and since I've done, and some of you would know this, I've done about 1,500 abductee, contactee type interviews over my years. And one of the things I noticed, and I typically would always ask people that were contactees or had seen UFOs. In fact, my interviews of people who just have seen UFOs is probably several thousand. But there was about 1,500 in there that were supposedly abductees. And just about every one of them said they did see a UFO. Many of them saw a UFO. It usually was less than 3 football fields, which is my 1,000-foot rule. There's a higher probability if you see a UFO that you have determined is less than 1,000 feet away. Or here in America, you'd say 3 football fields approximately, right? So anyways, in this particular case, it was 100 meters away, which would be 1 football field. So I always say that there's a higher probability that somebody in this group possibly got taken. Maybe not. If it was 10 meters away, I'd definitely say you probably were taken. Okay, but 100 meters is still pretty dang close to that particular UFO. So some of the witnesses also felt this kind of sense of fear and awe. But there was many of the witnesses said they didn't feel anything. There was no discomfort or anything with it. There were military people present. They attempted actually to intercept the UFO. They sent some fighter jets up there, but they were unsuccessful to intercept them at all in any way. There, the UFO was also seen doing formations of circles and triangles. And it also emitted a bright light that caused some of the witnesses to seem to go like a temporary blindness. It wasn't permanent, but it was a temporary blindness that they experienced. Okay, and that's pretty much all I can tell you on that. And I try to dig a little deeper into it, but that would kind of came to an end. Then there's the next one is 1981. And this was October 16th, 1981 in Jiangsu province, China. So there was hundreds of, in this particular one, there was hundreds of witnesses. And this was a cylindrical object, which was approximately 30 meters long, 10 meters wide. And it's some of the witnesses actually felt that they were within 50 meters of the object. Okay, so they're getting closer now. So again, I would probably say maybe some of them got abducted. You know, there was really no follow-up on that. Okay, of course, you know, if there was some type of an abduction, it's very possible the Chinese government wouldn't, you know, make sure that that information didn't get out for sure. So some of them had this feeling again of some fear, some anxiety. There was a presence, a military presence there. They attempted actually to shoot the UFO down, okay? But they weren't successful. Apparently, my understanding was that they fired 3 times some missiles at it of some sort. And of course, in 1981, I don't really know what type of aircraft they had or what type of capabilities they had. But anyways, they were unsuccessful, but they did shoot 3 missiles at it and missed it completely. Some of the other things that went on, there was some, the UFO did some very high-speed maneuvers. And they also emitted kind of a series of bright lights. So next one is 1994, and that was September 19th. And that was in the Shi Xiang city in in Helong province in China. And this one was witnessed by thousands of people. This one was a triangle object with lights on each corner. Okay, I guess it was a typical triangular UFO that we've talked about before. So this one again was as close as 100 meters. So this is also a close sighting. So this one, people were feeling kind of an awe or a wonder, I guess it was, by looking at it. The military was there during the event, but did not try to intervene this time. They just were observing it. I think there was, in this particular case, there was two fighter jets that were at quite a distance, and the people could also see the fighter jets, but they were staying their distance from this UFO. They also said the same UFO. Now, this event, the original event, happened outside the city itself. And then it came over the city and hovered there for over an hour before disappearing into view. It was also reported from commercial pilots that were flying in the vicinity at the time. Now, let's see, 1994. You know, people will say, well, why didn't you get us some videos on them? 1994, I'm thinking back, and you guys will probably correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think too many people had good cell phone cameras at that point. I don't think they came until, you know, maybe 7-10 years later. So, and even then they weren't that great, except for most recently, the last 5 or 6 years, then they became very great. So anyways, I guess there was no videos, and maybe there is some. I could not find anything. I also tried to do some videos, look for some videos on them, and I didn't find anything on these. So then in the next one is 2002, and this is the Yongdong incident, Yongdong Promise, Canada. It's March 10th, 2002. And this was also witnessed by hundreds. Describe a cylindrical, spherical object about 10 meters across, which is a kind of a typical scout type ship, 30 feet across, I guess. This group was, again, about 50 meters away, which is very, very close. There were some feelings of a sort of a sense of anxiety and disbelief, but there was many of the people that were interviewed at the time and the articles I read that felt really nothing at all. There was no interest. For some reason, the articles I read, they always talked about how they wanted to kind of know how people felt, and they did some interviews. That's why I keep on mentioning that. The military was present during the event, but again, they did not intervene. I guess maybe they learned their lessons from the previous ones when they tried to shoot them down. This particular one also, not only was it around the province, around the city, it also hovered over a military base for an hour. And it was observed at a distance by military pilots, but nothing. They did not try to shoot it down. They did not try to intervene, get close, do anything. They were just there really watching. An hour is a long time for a UFO to be in the sky. You'd almost think that the military got some good video on it, but I don't think they ever shared it with anybody. Okay, so the last one is probably the one everybody's kind of heard of. This is the only one of the five I told you about that I actually knew about or had heard about. This was in Shanghai in 2010, quite recent, I guess, as things go, 13 years ago. And of course, it was in Shanghai City, and it was witnessed by thousands. This is probably the biggest one of the five, okay? It was a spherical object about 10 meters across, typical of the last one I told you about. And, 10 meters across, and it was seen probably as close as, some people saw it as close as 100 meters. And there was a feeling of kind of wonder, like, wow, that's really something. But there was also worry. There was people that were worried about it. Not really sure why, but I guess they felt threatened in some way. The military was present, but again, they did not intervene. Again, I want to just reflect back at the beginning when I talked to you about the first couple. They were trying to intercept. They were trying to shoot down, but all of a sudden, they have stopped now, the last few, okay? It hovered over Shanghai City for over an hour. So it just hovered there. So that's why thousands and thousands of people saw it. And it was, again, reportedly seen by pilots from a different angle, of commercial pilots flying over the area. And an hour is a very, very long time, as you know. So it is fair to say that, yes, China has the largest population in the world. Chances are you're going to have a lot of multiple sightings, and you really, really do. And I think it's unfortunate most of the world doesn't know that all these multiple sightings in China have happened. Because here, if a dozen people see it in America, that's a big deal. But, hundreds and thousands in China. And there's many of these. I'm just giving it, I don't want to say the top five, but these are ones that had some substantial numbers of people. But there's more. I read several, golly, I probably read and did research on another 10, and I just grabbed these, okay? And there's more. I'm sure you can find them if you do your own research. And there's been some of these in the articles and the research I did that actually, according to the Chinese government or the media, said that these are some natural things. Some of these were planets, etc. Now, these particular ones that I gave you seemed to not be that not the ones, some of these other ones that I read about, and I decided not to make it part of these. Anyways, and there's many of them that were, including these five here I did, that there was no explanation at all. They're open cases, and I can only say that I would say the Chinese government is still looking at it, just similar to we're doing right now. So anyway, so that's it. That's the whole mass sightings in China. I hope you enjoyed it, and do some of your own research and let me know if you got some other real interesting ones. Thank you. Bye-bye.